Our final award tonight is going to be our Distinguished Alumnus Award. And so this is presented to the individual who's achieved significant and professional success and been a difference maker in their community. And so it's my pleasure today to present our Distinguished Alumnus Award to Dan Marcus, 1977 elementary education graduate. Feel free to clap the whole time. That's right, Dan. Yeah, just keep all the claps coming, because as I talk about this, we should all be clapping. So Dan graduated in 1977, an elementary education graduate, and he's currently in his 45th successive year of teaching, which I can only imagine got even tougher over the last couple. Dan has a long list of accomplishments to his name, but just to list a few, he was voted the best teacher in Elbert County in both 2017 and 2018. He was Colorado Big Brother of the Year in 2010. His class was featured on the Today Show for their PSA at the 2013 My Hero International Film Festival. He was a finalist for the Wallace A. Bacon Lifetime Teaching Excellence Award in 2017. And he received a letter of commendation from the Colorado Congressman Ed Perlmutter for a class project documenting the stories of 128 veterans that is now archived in the Library of Congress. So it's safe to say that Dan has made a tremendous impact in the lives of all the students that he's served and that he's taught. And so we are very lucky today to have him part of the Roadrunner family. So please, let's congratulate Dan.
Whoa, I see when you've been teaching as long as I have, like my most recent interview a month ago, actually, with my most recent employer, PrepNet Virtual Academy with National Heritage Academies. And the principal asked me, how long have you been teaching? And I just kind of said, I'm almost in my second. And then I paused and second, gosh, you look older, than that. And I said, my second half century. And she was like, okay, that's been a while. Yes, it was, let's see, 44 and a half years ago in May of 1977, when I graduated from MSU, Metropolitan State College at the time. And shortly thereafter, and I remember this date because it was 7/7 of 77 that I got the phone call from who was going to be my first principal. And it's not where or who you apply with. It's like, it really is who somebody knows, because this principal that ended up being my, first supervisor at Acres Green Elementary in Douglas County, he was actually sitting at the bar, met Jeff Brigham, who was my student teaching supervisor here when I went to Metro, and they were just having a conversation. And Ray Kinter, my first principal, said, do you know any good sixth grade teaching candidates? And that's how he found out about me, and I got the call. So I'll never forget. I remember it so vividly. August 29th, Monday morning, 1977. Sixth grade. I'm so nervous. It's my first day of teaching. I get to school early. My classroom is backing up to the parking lot at Acres Green Elementary. And there's a young man standing outside the door, and I open the door and I introduce myself. I said, hi, I'm Mr. Marcus. He said, hi, I'm Robbie Zarenko. I'm in your class. And I remember him walking in and taking a seat, probably a good 20 minutes before the bell rang. And I remember that so vividly because it was like it was yesterday, even though it was like, 44 and a half years ago. But really, my bio kind of shortchanges myself with the saying I'm in my 45th successive year of teaching. That's not true. I'm actually in my 56th successive year, because my very first teaching experience, I was 12 years old. I was in sixth grade, and my younger late brother, now Scott, at the time was in second grade. And I remember he was very frustrated because he said, I've got to present in show and tell next week. And I have no idea what I'm going to do or say or share. And I said, Scott, how about this? And I brought in a little blackboard on an easel, set it up in his bedroom in our house. And I said, you're going to recite all United States presidents in order from George Washington to today. At the time it was right. It was Lyndon Johnson was president at the time, 1964. And I drilled him and drilled him and drilled him. And by golly, he learned to recite those presidents. And I remember the day that he did that at school, I get a call from the office saying, Miss Henning, who was Scott, my little brother's second grade teacher, she wants to talk to you. And I went down to her classroom, and not only did she tell me what a fantastic job my brother did, but she said, your calling, Dan, is to be a teacher because of what you demonstrated with your younger brother. So I'll never forget that. To me, the most rewarding thing as a teacher is the connections and the relationships that you make with your students, your former students along the way. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out a couple of my guests that are sitting right over here as former students that I've had. And yes, I'm going to make you stand. Ben, if you would stand, please. Ben was actually a student of mine in math and film and broadcasting at Lewis Palmer Middle School in Monument. And he has gone on to, I'm so proud of him. He's actually today a studio manager where he sets up broadcasting stations in the wilderness to help the firefighters fight the wildfires. Just this summer, he was working out of Washington, with all the horrible fires they've had up there. So proud of Ben. Ben in 7th grade, I have to tell you, because I love to, Ben could not make it to my math class. It was 7:20 in the morning. It was first period. And he couldn't wake up in the morning. And I actually think it's a travesty that they make middle school students start school. Research, tells you that's not right. But I called in Ben and his mom for a little conference. And I looked at Ben and I said, this is a problem, isn't it? And Ben yeah, it is. Well, what are you going to do about it? And Ben sat there and thought a little bit. He said, I'm going to set a jar next to my bed, and every time I oversleep, I'm going to find myself. And every time he would put $5 in that jar. And later that year, he walks up to me. I think he had like $45 the 9 times he missed my class. And he said, I'm contributing this to LPTV, which was our school broadcast program. And thank you, Ben. That was like. And then Megan, please stand. Megan Elizabeth Kelly, who I had at Elizabeth High School in both math and the film program that we started actually together with her class. She's one of the founding fathers of Easy TV. I'm so proud of. Megan recently, in fact, just last week in her budding acting career, if you have not seen Intrusion, which came out on Netflix last week, she has a supporting role in that movie that I don't want to give it away, but she was phenomenal. And Megan, she was the missing person that was, well, that's all I'm going to say. But the last 23 minutes on the movie, oh my goodness, reminded me so much of Bride of Frankenstein. Her role, it was tremendous. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. But that's what makes it all worth it. And that's why I keep going. And I want to thank my dear colleague and friend, Karen Colette. You don't have to stand, Karen. It's okay. But she wrote the beautiful nomination letter that helped me get this award. And she was my principal at Lewis Palmer Middle School and Creekside Middle School for many, many years, and so supportive of everything I did at those schools. And thank you, Karen. I really appreciate that. And to put up with all of my long hours and bad moods when I was upset about, not these guys, but although Ben, that sleeping in didn't make me that happy, but my lovely wife, Deb, over here, and my lovely daughter, Mindy, I have to thank them, for all of their support. Metro. I actually transferred here from Stanford. I was actually, my junior year, I was majoring at Stanford University in Palo Alto, and I was majoring in math and computer science, and just totally hit a wall. I mean, big time burnout. And so I had to drop out of school for a while, worked a couple of years, actually at a waiter in various restaurants in the Denver area. But when I came to Metro in January of 1975 to finish out, and that's when I decided, I know that my calling is to be a teacher, and that's what I'm going to pursue. The biggest difference to me at Stanford University, I never got to meet the professors. You would be in these large auditoriums with 200 to 300 students sitting there. The professor just was like a tiny little pea at the bottom of the 200 rows. You're looking down in the auditorium. And the big difference to me was the small class sizes here at Metro, how personable the professors were, and how you could get to know them and have conversations with them, and the small group work and all that. And as I stated in the article that was actually in the Red magazine in 2017, when I was a finalist for that Lifetime Teaching Excellence Award out of Washington, what I said in that article, I will say that to whomever I talk to. I would pick MSU over Stanford in a heartbeat. And I tell people that all the time. A lot of those like big name universities like on the East Coast and the West Coast, they're not all that they're cracked up to be when you compare them to a place like MSU, that you really get that, that one-on-one, attention and schooling. And so I am so grateful to Metro that they were able to give that to me. And so finally, in terms of being a roadrunner, I was having a conversation with a former colleague. We actually had lunch together this summer. And during the conversation, we were reminiscing about our careers. And he said to me, Dan, what's really that I find amazing? Because I was bemoaning the fact that I said, Jim, I never spent more than 7 years in all these years, more than 7 years in any one particular school. And so I was kind of thinking of that as, gosh, I just can't hang on to a job, can I? And Jim was like, no, Dan, that's the definition of a change agent. And I said, I didn't know what that change agent, what are you talking about? And I had to look it up. It says, has the courage, a change agent or agent of change, has the courage to think outside the box and makes an impact that is greater than themselves. Every school that I was at, we basically either started a student technology program, or we started a film club, or full-fledged like audiovisual department at Elizabeth High School. And when I can look back at it and honestly say that building something from scratch, identifying a need in the school and the community and building that program from scratch, and then seeing like what my former students do with that program, and then how the programs thrive long after you leave. To me, that's what's been most fulfilling about my career, is being a change agent. And so I think roadrunner, yes, you run from place to place to place, being that agent of change. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.